What's up, gamers? So it finally happened. I switched over to a fridge, but not only is this a fridge, this is a fridge freezer. Now it's not the big bad ICECO that I wanted, but this thing is a quarter the price. The brand is Euhomy. I bought this with my own money. They're not sponsoring me, but I wanted to see if I actually liked having a fridge, and also if my Jackery 240, which is the smallest Jackery, would be able to power this at least through the night, because I did not want to hardwire it into my vehicle. And so far I have not taken this on a trip, but I've tested it out. So initially I thought I was going to need a bigger power bank, but as long as we have some sun, I can power this on solar during the day, charge up the Jackery a little as well, and get through the night pretty easily. So this is basically an initial unboxing, but there are three things right off the bat why I know this cooler is a lot cheaper. One of which is the plastic handles. They actually seem pretty cheap. While the side one seems solid, this one does have a handle, which is nice, that you can pull around with the wheels, but it's pretty flimsy. If you're camping and you go off an uneven road and this thing twists and it's full, this is probably gonna break. These actually seem pretty solid. That's the first thing. The second thing is definitely the lid doesn't strap down. It kind of clicks into place, but it's more just the tension of the plastic in there. Now there is a rubber gasket, so I think that's gonna be fine. But the thing that I'm gonna fix today is the insulation on this. I can tell is not very good, especially because it only weighs 40 pounds, which is great for weight, but not so great for insulation. And honestly, just being out here in the sun for a few minutes, this top black is getting really hot. So to fix the insulation part, which ultimately leads to its efficiency, I'm gonna take some of that Reflectix from our old tent ground and wrap this bad boy up. Hopefully I can make it look pretty good. Before we get into that, I just wanted to talk about some reasons why I wanted to go with a fridge rather than a cooler, because it was a decision that I was waiting to make for a very long time. And what finally got me to pull the trigger is I went on a 4-day trip with one of my buddies, Ryan, shout out to RB, and he had an ICECO one. And at the 4th day, at the end of the day, I opened my cooler and there was water everywhere. Things were floating around. Water leaked into some of our containers that we thought were waterproof. So that food was now just like kind of sucky. And he opened up his fridge and everything was nice and dry, just like the day he packed it. And I was like, I think I need to make the switch. So I really wanted an ICECO, but I thought that this budget option, now keep in mind, it's still around $250 at the time of purchasing. It's still pretty steep, but it's not as much as like the $850 range or even up. So I wanted to see if I actually liked it first, how my Jackery would power it. But honestly, it's not that much bigger in size than the Rugged Road 65. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love this cooler. It floats, it's the lightest cooler on the market, the way it performs, there's a gasket on it. I love how the lid is reversible, it's a cutting board, but at the end of the day, it is a cooler and ice will eventually melt regardless of how long the retention is. And while this is a 65 can capacity, this is a 77 can capacity. So while it is a little bigger, it also has a little bit more capacity. And the big kicker is you don't have to put ice in here, which is great. And ice takes up a lot of room. So anyways, for this project, I have the Reflectix, I have an X-Acto blade, and I have a screwdriver, because what I think I'm gonna do, and I hope I don't mess this up, is take off the handles, wrap it up, and then put the handles on over the Reflectix so it has a nice clean look. And then I'm gonna go around and cut out all the vents, the wheel parts, spot for the lid, so that it can hopefully be more efficient and look kind of weirdly space age. So let's get going. I need the right size screwdriver first. All right, got the right size. Let's hope that this goes smoothly. Yeah, these screws are very shallow. You can tell that this would probably snap off eventually with the wear and tear. All right, now for the other side. All right, so now that we have the handles off, we're gonna take the Reflectix that we used to use on the bottom of our tent. We used it mainly for insulation, for heat when we were winter camping, but also it did a really good job making it more comfortable on the knees when crawling around in the tent. But now that we have this Snow Peak Alpha Breeze, we don't need this anymore. So I'm gonna recycle it and use this to insulate the cooler. So let's see. Right, so the fridge seems to be about 20¼ inches high, but I'm gonna go to 22 so I can shape it as I go. I'm gonna get a little bit bigger than it actually is. So let's cut this Reflectix. Well, now that there's no handles on it, it's definitely harder to move around. Let's see. All right, so now what I plan to do is probably have one of the edges on the corners, wrap this bad boy up, and then throw the handles back on, and we will cut the excess as we start moving along. I think that'll be perfect. All right, so we got the first handle on after losing a screw and then finding it. I think that looks pretty clean. Now we're gonna wrap the rest and attach the other handle, but in order for that to be like really tight on here, I'm gonna have to cut out the wheel that's in there before we wrap. So let's try to do that, and hopefully it doesn't come out too bad. So I'm gonna make sure this is nice and flush against the outside. And basically where I can feel the wheel, I'm gonna make sure this is all flush. All right, and I'm probably gonna have to do the same thing with the other side. So I'm just basically gonna cut out the wheel here. Cut out as least amount as possible. All right. So you guys can see. So we got one little wheel out. I'm just gonna go all the way down. Boom, there we go. That's pretty clean if you ask me. All right. Now we're gonna do the same thing with the other side. Cut the wheel out of here. Make sure that. All right, we got some overlap on here, this side, but that's fine. We're going a little bit over, which is perfect. All right, sides are done. And feeling this Reflectix and feeling the top of the cooler up here, the top black is significantly hotter. So I think that this is gonna do quite a bit when it comes to installation. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tape this side with some of this reflective duct tape right up here, and then attach the handles to that side, and I think we'll be good to go, and then I'll figure out the lid situation. All right, we got the other handle on. I think it looks pretty clean. That was the trickiest part, just lining it up. I'm sure there was a better way that I could do it with measurements and stuff, but I just basically winged it. You can hear the bubbles popping on there as I tighten these in. Cool. I think it looks pretty clean though so far, and I'm really gonna mess it up with the lid. Watch. All right, I don't want to over tighten these, like I said, because this plastic honestly seems pretty cheap. So I'm just gonna get them snug, and then that's probably good. And hopefully they don't back out. I don't think I need to put Loctite on there or anything. You can hear the bubbles popping. But yeah, and that's good to go. So I think it looks pretty good so far. Boom. Now it's time to figure out the top. We're gonna cut this excess off, and because it opens like this, I still need to figure out a way so we can still easily access it when it's open. So brainstorm for a couple seconds and then we'll get at it. All right, so for the top, I want it to be a clean seal. So what I end up doing is cutting these corners so these flaps can all fold individually. And then I cut this side right to the edge. And my goal is the tape fits in there, is to still have it closed. So I'm gonna fold this down like this. And then I put some duct tape on that inner ledge. And then I'm gonna, let's see if this works. I'm gonna put it down on it. All right, on that side, and then this side, I'm gonna stretch it so it doesn't interfere with the lid, and hopefully that still closes. Cool, we're good to go. It's a nice seal right there. Cool, so I'm gonna do the same thing to the other side now, but on the other side, I need to cut out a space for the screen over there. So let's flip this around and get that going. So as I did with the other side, I just put this down like this, started one edge, one corner, found where the crease is, I don't want to cut the screen, and then just moved it along where the lid opens Boom. Same thing on this side. All right, there we go. But for this side, I need to cut out this section where the screen is, so I'm just gonna move this along to there, up, move this along, boom. So now when this folds over, you'll still be able to see the screen. I'm going to put tape on these sides, and then we'll figure out what we're going to do with the lid part on here. Cool. So again, I think this needs to be trimmed a little more, just so that's not hanging over on there. All right. There we go. Now I'm going to take a piece of duct tape. Try not to get it on the screen part. And then fold that in. Boom, might reinforce that, but I think for now that's good, it's in place. Now I'm gonna do the same thing with this other side. If this will stay up. Let me see. There we go. About that long. This side needs to be trimmed as well, real quick. All right, putting the tape there first, then folding it down, and then pulling the tape towards me as I put it down, so that it doesn't interfere. This is still flush inside so the lid can close. Perfect, just like that. I might put a little tiny bit of duct tape right here, right now. Actually, yeah, that is definitely gonna happen. Just a little bit, so that seal is nice and tight. Put this up in there, and boom, right against there. This is this is aluminum kind of duct tape, so I'm hoping it's not going to interfere with the touchscreen, but I guess we'll find out. All right, so we got the two sides down. Now I think I just got to cut this really flush. I do want to have some overlap when this closes, so I'm going to use the duct tape to make a little ledge right here. So let's see how we figure out doing that. All right, so I just did a clean cut right here that went along with the edge. And then what I think I'm going to do is just attach a piece to here that will fold over so it's flat here, and have some duct tape hanging off the edge to keep this really sealed, because this is the most important part so heat doesn't escape out here. Fold it in the corners and then duct tape them there. So yeah, and then I have to cut out the vents. I totally forgot. That's very important. I got to cut out the vents on the sides for everything, and then we should be done. All right, so what I ended up doing is making these little side flaps for the lid on both sides. I'm going to probably get the corners down, tape them there. But to keep this onto the lid, this is way cooler now. It's not in direct sun. This is actually working, you can tell already. I'm going to put some 3M double-sided tape along here so this stays nice and flat, and then I'm going to tape up these corners pretty snug, and then hopefully that will be good. So you can just put your thumb under here and open up the lid. I was thinking about attaching some magnets so that it stayed on here, but I don't think that's going to be necessary. So yeah, we're almost done. Then I just got to cut out the vent on this side and we'll be good to go. Like the way it looks so far. Alrighty, so that's it. I cut out all the vent areas. There's 3 of them. Then I taped it here so that none of that hot air gets back inside. I think it came out pretty good. Looks pretty clean, if you ask me. Pretty stoked. I didn't end up putting the 3M here. It's just a little bit of tape from last time, because once it closes fine. And then this is pretty snug on the corners. So I think it's good to go. I also did not tape the bottom because I feel like it's just gonna get all messed up. But I did put tape along all sides right here just to keep this a little bit more snug. But yeah, let's see how it works. The only problem is I didn't use it before I did this. I did this as an anticipatory mod because I feel like for sure the installation wasn't that good. So hopefully this helps it last a little more. But yeah, it's not the best job, but I think it'll do. It'll do for now. Nice from far, but far from nice it looks. So yeah, there's we got to name it. It looks like an Airstream or something, but yeah. So yeah, this is the first mod. I'll do a full review of the cooler once I get some real world experience using it, camping and stuff, but I think this is gonna make it way more efficient. So yeah, until next time, remember to keep it safe, keep it clean, keep yourself informed, like and follow for more camp stuff.